Good morning, James from Magitone here. It's Black Friday this week. Magitone has a sale on, and the selling of my software very much facilitates the dicking around with non-microphones and other such things. So thank you very much for the support, and long may it continue. I did a little bit of recording last week, and I did a thing that I've been thinking about for absolutely ages, which is recording a drum kit with no microphones. Of course, that is a little bit of a clickbaity title because what is a microphone? Maybe it's a transducer that's catching vibration or air, but no, like kind of what we would sort of classify as traditional microphones. So here's what I hit upon. I put a driver in this bass drum, just like mounted it in the middle, and I've got a little c-ducer on this snare drum. This, which is a little Sony hi-fi speaker that I've made into a microphone, put a little transformer on there, very nice. And I thought we'd dive into the session and have a look at what those actually sound like and what's the point. I mean, there possibly is no point because it's I don't know, it's a not a great drum sound, although interesting. And interesting counts for something, right? So basically, the Trixon bass drum, you may have seen if you've been following along. I've done a lot of experiments with the Trixon kit, and most specifically the bass drum. It had this really intricate internal muffling system in it that is very beautiful, but I think kills the drum because I think it's always touching the heads, so the heads don't quite ring out as you would expect them to. And it's a very light shell. With my experiments that I did with that Simon Phillips paint can in the bass drum thing, I was thinking like, weight inside a drum is actually pretty good. And then I thought, well, what if that weight could be functional? Because it doesn't have to be, a paint can. And then I thought, well, speakers are pretty heavy. And then I could get like a kind of sub-kick kind of thing on the go. And that might be pretty cool. So let me just take everything off and then we'll go from okay, so this is where there's a lot of isolation. There's some good low end in there. I don't always tend to love that kind of sub-kick thing. The snare, Tristan made this drum, which is a Premier Resonator 14x8 tom, and I was up there at some point and we were chatting drum nerdiness. And I was talking about the c-ducers, those contact microphones that I love very much. But that when I put them on drum shells, I'm always a tiny bit disappointed because I always want them to sound like A Forest by The Cure, because that's c-ducers as well. And I think they mounted those inside the drum. But mounting them inside the drum is a pain in the ass because how do you get the XLR, all of that stuff. So I was talking to Tristan about this and I was like, would you mind if I stuck a c-ducer on the internal shell? So a Premier Resonator, what it is essentially, you have the drum and then there's an internal, just couple of plies. There's nothing in that. There's no drilling through that internal ply. I think it's really good. Kind of to the point where I want to get a Premier Resonator kit now and put c-ducers on the whole thing and build them into the shell. Maybe we'll see how this video does. It could be cool for a sample instrument though, like really claustrophobic. I mean, that's sort of what I was going for, like really like unusual claustrophobic, like that Big Thief song that Shawn Everett did. I'll insert footage of that where he's using just contact mics.
I thought it might be kind of cool to use only contact mics at just 100%. So there was no, I put a rule for myself that I wasn't going to use a single microphone on the entire recording of this track.
It's sort of along those lines. This is a Sony hi-fi speaker. I found this on the street when I lived in Brighton. I got a pair of them, and the night before I did the session I thought, maybe I should try that. So I quickly made it into a microphone. I put a transformer on it and an XLR, and then we get this. I think it sounds pretty great. There is something about converting a speaker that has a tweeter and a woofer. You get this really cool overall sound, and because of the nature of the cabinet as well, you get directionality and proximity, which I think is pretty cool. So I guess by it being ported, you're getting a sort of cardioid response ish, but it's probably not tuned as such, so it's sort of, it's a mixed bag. In the room, this is what that kit sounded like. This is the extinct Valkyr that's miking the other kit in the other directions. So kind of nice, but now all those close mics, it's cool, isn't it? You get that really gravelly snare. The only problem I found with the c-ducers is the attack, I feel, is kind of horrible. Like there's a peak energy there that I really don't enjoy. Gated it. Why did I gate it? Oh, I gated it because it's noisy. You can hear that here. See, there's a little noise there. Not a fan. So I just put the gate on, just very low. So it's not actually doing anything. It's just a bit of noise reduction. Old school, basically, that stuff. You used to do that on SSLs back in the day. I did experiment with this. And then I also have a bit of EQ going on. Just to put a bit more, just get rid of this stuff. That horrible sort of stuff. What have we got on the kick? On the bass drum, I've got Pro Q4 doing a little bit of heavy lifting, 167 Hertz. I think that was just a little bit of that presence. It actually sounded like weirdly scooped. Like you can hear there's enough low frequency, and also this is one of my favourite plugins. I use this all the time. I really like Neve, and this I think does a good job. So I almost always though will that like Glyn Johns thing of like pushing into it and then going back slightly when it starts to break up, and then attenuating that on the output. That to me is like, so I almost always start with -10 and then -5 on the fader, and then adjust between the two to get it sort of where I want it, without any of that stuff. It's a bit weedy. Just adding that like mid-range so it goes, sounds really cool. It's a bit sort of scooped sounding maybe with the snare. Alright, let's fade that in. What have we got on here? Oh, a bit of just a bit of Pro L. I quite like this plugin. I think this was to sort of simulate stereo. Yeah, I've done like a little Haas thing. Delay by distance. It's so cool. It's one of the Reaper built-in plugins. but I really love it. And again, see, told you, I'm doing the same thing, boosting a little bit of 110. Let's take off the distance, back to mono. I think, yeah, Pro L is just there to catch a few peaks. Just to give it a little bit of space around it, even though that seems kind of pointless. Yeah, it's a little bit of mud there, which would be nice to clear up. Don't love that. Let's try that one. I think that might be better on the sub. Oh yeah, I'm listening to it in isolation. Little tape machine microphone a little bit further away. You could see how, like, if you had an instrument with this sort of stuff in, fading between actual mics and not actual mics, you could get some really interesting tones. But I'm really into that. Maybe this is where we add more distortion. You could see how that could be quite cool. Kind of cool. Anyway, this is just the sort of shite that enters my mind, and I think, oh, that could be interesting. Basically, like, I just really like finding weird ways to record drums and ways that I've not heard before. Sometimes that's not the most usable concept or sound, but fun nonetheless. And yeah, I hope this is taken with the enthusiasm that is intended. Anyway, thanks very much. See you next time. I am still doing the building a drum kit instrument thing. That is coming. Just it will make sense when you see the next video that why it took a little bit of time. But hopefully get a little bit of audience participation into things in a sort of non-shit way, like when you go and see a band and they try and get you to sing along with a song you've never heard before. Anyway, thank you very much. Yeah, I really love this. I think I'm going to make this into a sample instrument at some point. I'll refine this. C-ducers and Premier resonators. Seems like a plan. Anyway, speak to you soon. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff, and speak to you later. Bye bye.